Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Bernat, today, welcome. How are you doing today, Bernat?
Thank you. I'm great. Thanks
Uh,
for having me.
it is a pleasure, sir, to have you here. Very excited for you to be here. Excited about this topic. Frankly, as we were talking about before we went live, and I'm sorry, just playing with your camera here because got a little off kilter here, but there you go. Oh, before we were going live, we were talking about how interesting I find the new parameter functions and how excited I am to get into this stuff. So before we dive into that, Bernat, I'm not sure everyone knows you. You are a Microsoft MVP. This is your first year, right?
Yeah, I started in August last year.
Oh, congratulations. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome. And are you going to the MVP Summit?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's quite far from here.
Yeah. Where are you located?
I'm in Barcelona, in the northeastern part of Spain.
Holy cow. That is, yeah, I had no idea. Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Oh, you didn't know that? Come on. You always-
I'm very out of touch with it. If it's not Power BI, I lose, like,
As long as it's Power BI, yeah.
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 Oh, that's awesome. So Barcelona, what time is it there?
Well, actually, now it's 7 p.m.
Oh, holy
That's
cow.
Pretty good time.
Yeah.
So,
This is a
Why
great time. This is prime
It's like
time
lunchtime
TV
here.
right now. For if you're tuning in from
Yeah.
Spain, this is must see TV. Happy to have you here. So,
Yeah, there you go.
oh, awesome. And hey, everyone who's tuned in live, thank you guys for showing up. Frankly, while I'm excited to talk Bernat and learn about what he has to teach us about parameters. This really is for you. So if you have questions, please drop those into the queue. Preface it with a Q colon so that it stands out, so that we can queue those questions up. Bernat, I can see you watching the chat. Don't worry about that. You focus on what's going on. I'll keep my eye on the chat, and
Okay.
let you know if there's any questions. All right. But before we begin, this is our lunch and learn, so we're going to take a customary sip of our beverage. So, Bernat, do you have a beverage available?
Sure.
Okay.
We have some tea.
Oh, there we go. Some tea in my non-paid
What is this?
Kickstart. This is what the kids drink now. Energy
we don't
drink.
get those over here.
Oh. All right. All right. Let's get into it. So, Bernat, why don't you tell us your background? So, where are you working? What you doing? That type of thing.
Good. So I was raised in Barcelona. Then I looked around a little the world. I went to the US, to Germany, 5 years in Japan. I'm an engineer by training, but I did like a PhD in social sciences. Then I realized actually I like more numbers and stuff. So I went back and I started like doing some Excel macros, which I enjoyed a lot. But at some point, I transitioned into Excel plus SQL Server, and then eventually was like SSIS.
Okay.
And then I even did a few things with Tableau. And at some point, I met Power BI, and I was like, "Whoa, that's so cool!" And I decided that this one I wanted to learn everything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah? So I started like reading blogs, and even like at some point started answering questions in forums, stuff like this that I didn't do before. Actually, it was also forced by the situation that I had to enter in a client
Okay.
as a support for Power BI, even though I had like very little experience in that. I was like, oh my God, they're going to tell me out. So luckily I found the DAX book, the DAX Bible. And I went through it, and it was like, oh my God, now everything makes sense, because I tried to do a report, like, yeah, well, this is a data tool, I'll find my way around. Okay, I
Right.
did not. No, but it was pretty tragic. And I was like, oh, this is so limited. I cannot do things like in Tableau and stuff like that. But then I read it. It was like, oh man, this is really good. So yeah, and then I don't know. And then the pandemic hit, and then I was like, okay, we don't have much work because we were working for some hotels and stuff, and they were like, okay, we're gonna pause everything. Okay, I was like, all right. So I started doing the optimizing DAX video course, and I don't know. At some point, I'd even joined one from Melissa Codes, which is also awesome as well. And now I'm almost finishing the mastering tabular from SQL BI again. So yeah, I'm trying to cover all my bases around the tabular and Power BI
So
space.
I was just asked this week,
yeah,
how do I or do I not like the Mastering Tabular course by SQL BI? What is your take on that?
My take was like, yeah, I wish I had taken that course long before. Because of course, many things like, yeah, I know that. But my trick actually is that, okay, I'm very busy. So besides my work and stuff, and I also have to take care of my daughters and so on. So I do not have time to sit in front of my laptop and watch either Mark or Abel to talk to me. I mean, I feel like, come on, I have to do more. I have to, and then but if I put it like at high speed, then it's, I don't know, at some point I just fall down. No? So what I do is listen it to the regular speed while I cook or I wash my dishes or I do the laundry, stuff like that. And since it's mostly things that I already heard at some point, it's not that bad. And then you discover the little things, the small details that you need to pay attention to. And then at some point, it does get into some stuff that I wasn't that familiar with. So like the push data sets and I don't know, and all these partition things and how you can do stuff. So I think I get enough of it to say, okay, more or less I know what is possible, what is not, and what chapter should I go back to if I ever have to do something on that. So yeah, that's at least how I managed to go through it. Because I said to myself, Bernat, you cannot buy, that one, yeah. Let's say, Bernat, you cannot buy another course from SQL BI until you finish mastering tabular. Because I really want to buy the SQL BI Plus thing, because they have like course on calculation groups coming up and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I really want to have a look on that. And I said, but Bernat, come on, you bought a course like a while back. So anyway, so that's how I'm managing
you're
it.
very pro the SQL BI courses, right? Is that
Totally.
what I'm hearing? Yes.
I'd recommend no one actually.
Yeah.
I mean, and aside from governance, which I would go to Melissa and Mike Carlo now.
Yep. I think that's a great recommendation. I think what I'm saying, and love to hear in the chat, if you disagree, please let us know. Or if you have other recommendations, put it in the chat. I think I've just started to say that the strategy of recommendation is subscribe to Enterprise DNA. And then once you start to work through some of the basics and stuff that's there, take the SQL BI courses to start to hone in your mastery. And I think that's the proper combination of like an ongoing subscription, because there's so much to learn that you just can't possibly get into like everything in one course, right? But then be able to do that deep dive, especially like the tabular model, I think is that the heart of really knowing Power BI is you have to know that tabular model and what you can do, what you can't do. So I love that idea. Yeah, that makes good sense. And the reason I got this book out, and this is the book you mentioned, right? The Bible, right? Is I highly recommend a book like this. Is you go through and you give yourself little chapter, I think you can read this now, little chapter markers so that you can easily find the items that you're looking for, right? So, hey, this is something I'm looking, whatever it is, you go in, optimizing Vertipack, chapter 18, boom, chapter 18 right there. I'm backwards on my camera, but that's a pro tip for me. So
I'm going to do a training on DAX
like
next month. So I'm going back to the to the book to say, okay, what was the proper order to teach stuff? So yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So when we talk about scope, we should be
Oh yeah.
mindful that in today's topic, we're going to be talking about parameters, but we kind of talked about this. There's three types of parameters that we might be talking about.
Yes.
We're going to go deep into one type, right? And do you want to give us
Yeah.
a rundown what those are?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there is in Power Query, you have parameters which allow you like to filter the source data and stuff like that. And sometimes you can even like tie them to do crazy stuff with direct query and stuff like that. I don't know much about that. We're not going to talk about that. Okay.
Okay.
Now, in the DAX world, we used to have only like what if parameters, which were like a number range that you could play. It was basically a calculated table in which you could just pick a number. And then from a few months ago, I can't remember when was it. It was last year, May or something like that. We have the field parameters. Field parameters are actually measures and columns that you can then select and you be used in a visual. So if you select different measure, then boom, in your visual you have a different measure really there. So in that sense, is maybe even better than like the dynamic measure thing that you can do with a calculation group, because it's the real measure. So you can like just select you configure the measures, and when they are used inside the field parameters, it's gonna go and pick up that measure that you have and use it there. And that happens, of course, like in the visual level, and then you can get very dynamic visuals. With measures, we had the option of calculation groups, but you can do that also with columns, which is very powerful. Like I want to slice now by something else, and boom, you can choose that from a slicer. Yeah, there's many use cases. Yeah, so
Right.
Also, I want to say up front, we're not. I mean, this is not like a full class on parameters. I'm just gonna discuss a couple things that I played around with them because they were useful for some use cases I was working on. But there are many, many more use cases, and I think Heavens BI they made even like a challenge on that, and they're very good. So proposals on how to use them. Ken Snyder even won a prize, I think. So I think he had an amazing report on how can you use them. So go around and check them. We're just gonna discuss one is very basic thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that you can do, but maybe you didn't think of that. And the other one is very complex.
Okay.
So we're gonna do one in both ends, maybe too complex even. But it's something that it came in my mind. Is it that even possible? And then I played around until I made it work.
Well, fantastic. Okay. So while we're about to head over to there, want to for those of you who are tuning in, and I want to know, have you worked with field parameters before or not? Just give us a yes or a no inside the chat so that we know how experienced are you. So let us know, because I'm gonna say honestly, I'm a no. I looked at it, I saw what it was, I went, okay, I got this, but I have not, I don't have hands-on keyboard experience with field parameters yet, so I'm excited to dive into this and see how this goes. So yes or no? All right. So
awesome.
Kevin's a yes, and then let's head over to your laptop and let's check this out.
Okay, just before we start, I want to just show very quick. Okay, it's my brand new T-shirt from Power BI Tips. Okay. Now that we got this working, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to start. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Where is it? Let me get over this. Okay. Wait a minute. So we're going to discuss a couple of. This is the latest 2 blog posts on my blog. So this is the ultimate snapshot report, and we'll see how. I mean, there's a lot of calculation group there, but there is some stuff dealing with field parameters that is relevant, I guess. And then we're gonna head into this use case of dynamic headers in Power BI. Sort of. You will see what this sort of is referring to. So let me just jump real quick into this
Well, and hang on
ultimate.
1 second, Bernat. We have one
Yes.
question before we go too
Oh,
deep into this. This comes
sure.
from Violetta. Hopefully, I said your name. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she wants to know: can we use field parameters to change the time axis from months to years, quarters, weeks? Is that something we can do with field parameters?
I think so.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, because they are like columns.
Yep.
So yeah, you can change the columns.
Excellent. Great. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Back at it.
Okay. So here I'm gonna do like step by step so that you understand what's the problematic and how the field parameters help me. Yeah. So this is a report that what it does is like it compares snapshots that you may have from some status. So here it's supposed to be like some sales operations in which there are certain order IDs and they have some status, and then each day you have like a snapshot of it. And here you can select like a date range. And then the good thing is that here on the bottom you get like each snapshot like aggregated by the status, and here you get the latest snapshot, like what is the current thing. Here also what's the current status, but lies by order ID and ordered by, well, so you can see what are the orders that are current now. And here you see very interesting things like where you started, where you ended. There were any value change of the order IDs that exist in both places. What was the balance between the orders that went in and went out? And then also this balance, okay, how many ins and how many outs this represent? And from those outs, yeah, which ones were due to the fact that they went ahead and which ones due to cancellations. Of course, if you're looking at the whole thing, you'll never have advances because you're considering all of it. But the point is here, if I can select like a cell, and then it will tell me like here, for instance, you didn't have any advance and you had some cancellations in this cell or stuff like this, even though you don't have anything now, but there's some things that happen here. And then I started thinking, oh, but I'm missing this information and I would like to provide some context to the users, say, okay, what should I pay attention to? Yeah, because the final snapshot gives us some information, but not, maybe there are some status in which there were lots of cancellations for certain date and stuff. So you might want to provide some cues on where to look for. So what I tried is to put some conditional formatting. Yeah. And so for that, I created some special calculation items that were not these ones, because if I use the same ones, then I would be applying twice the same calculation items, and that you're not allowed to do that. So anyway, I created those calculation items. I created some measures that were using those calculation items, and I had them put here. But then I realized that there were many things. For example, we saw that there was like, if I click here, I mean, there's some stuff happening, but I don't see the conditional formatting that would tell me that here there was some cancellations, for instance. It's like, why is this happening? Because I know that the value is there. If I click on cancellations, this takes a while. I see it. It's like, oh, why? And then I realized that there is I don't know, it's not a limitation, it's probably by design. The fact is that conditional formatting is only applied to non-blank cells. Oh. I was like, oh. And then I was like, okay, what can I do? And well, you know that it's quite dangerous in Power BI to say, okay, then I'll put a +0 to everything, and we'll see what happens. Well, what happens is then, of course, the problem I would have is that, for instance, that would show like all the order IDs, because I could no longer just show the relevant ones. Yeah, because I cannot there would be no blanks anymore. So everybody would have at least 0. Yeah, or even right. Worse thing. Yeah. So, and that also true. It's like, okay, I'll leave the measures as they are. And then another approach would be like, oh, I'll put here a calculation item that does this for me. For instance, like take whatever measure plus 0. Yeah, that would work well. I would have the zeros only in this visual. However, what happens? That when I cross filter from here, I would have the same problem because calculation items belong to the filter context. So the measures here will also be, oh, what's happening? No, not now. Web view, oh, it's back, okay. So we'd have the same issue, I would have all the zeros here, okay?
Sure, yep.
And then I was like, okay, all right, so what is to be done? And then I found a solution because the thing is, as you can see, I'm using a field parameter that this is the basic use of field parameters, yeah, which is to change what the measure that you're showing everywhere. Now I'm showing sales amount, but I could change the sum of products. Here I didn't set up the conditional formatting for the products, but you see here is like the number of products, and now it's oh, now it's the sales amount. Why is not showing? Now what's the problem with it? Oh, I don't know. Weird things are happening. That's odd. You saw that this was working.
Yeah,
before,
it was just a moment ago.
Just a moment ago. Let's see details. What details? Okay, the level of transportation. There was an error there. Whatever. Okay, we'll just go to the next one, which is the final solution. Yeah? So here, I got the conditional formatting working. How did I do that? Okay, so very basic. What I did is, first, I said I created a copy of my measures. Where are they? So in the order ID, no, sorry, in the orders, let me see. Okay, maybe I can zoom in. You see, where is it? I have, so here and here, we have a sales amount plus 0, sum of products plus 0. What are these measures? As you can see, they are very basic. Yeah, so it's really what the name says. So it's just the measures plus 0. Yep.
And you're doing that so that there is a value to be able to apply conditional formatting to.
Yeah, and and the value when it's shown, at least is the same one. Yeah. Yep. Now, something also that I didn't mention is look at the format that these measures have. Is 0 semicolon minus 0 semicolon semicolon. What does this mean? This is a format string. If you know the format strings, when they have these semicolons in it, they are basically 3 format strings for different ranges of values. So up till the first semicolon is for the positive numbers. The second part until the second, between the two first semicolons, this is for negative values. And then the last one between the last 2 semicolons, this is for 0.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can define 3 different formats. So here I say, okay, this is like regular one. So it's positive. Then for negative, put the negative sign. But look at this, that for 0, I'm not putting anything. So I can put the value, but the zeros are not shown. So I have a 0, which is invisible, but it's there. Okay.
Oh.
So, yeah. So that's a good thing.
That's cool. So if you need to be able to display something. Okay, all right.
Exactly.
All right.
So at least conditional formatting, it understands that there is a value, just that the representation of it is like nothing, but there is a value. It's not blank. Yeah.
Look at
this. But then what I did.
So this is where you got your PhD, huh? As in Dex thesis.
Yeah, I think in this way. And then what I did is create a secondary. This is the regular field parameter. When you create a field parameter, it basically creates like a calculated table with certain properties in some of the columns. This is the one that is created by Power BI. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I created the second one also using the user interface. Very easy, but using the same the new measures, the one with the plus 0.
Okay.
Yes?
Yep. Yep.
And I was very careful to select them in the same order. Okay. So you see here I have sum of products, sales amount.
Okay.
Sum of products plus 0, sum of sales amount plus 0. Okay.
Okay.
The crazy thing about field parameters is that even though they are like, they do this magic thing of selecting measures, they allow modeling on top, which is something that is not true for calculation groups, for instance. You cannot create relationships with a calculation group, but you can create relationship between field parameters. And this is what I did. Yeah, so you see here, this is my original field parameters. This is the new one. And I created a relationship by the order one. I don't know, you could do it probably, yeah, because the measure name is different, but the order, since I selected the same order, I use that as the key. And in order to avoid problems, I said like one-to-many, even though by default it might select like one-to-one, and bidirectional is like, no. I have a main field parameter, which is the original one, and then I have like a secondary one, which I want to just always be in sync. Yeah, so when I select
this is brilliant.
measure on top, yeah, then it will select the equivalent plus 0 on the other one.
So that means we could potentially have like a cascading selection tool, like a hierarchy selection.
Totally. Yeah, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And that we'll see that
awesome.
in further, iteration on the other use case.
Yeah. I'm jumping ahead,
Yeah, it's already pretty cool. Yeah. So what I did, so here you see for the values, I'm using the measure plus 0 column from the measure plus 0 field parameter, while on the other visuals, I'm using the original one. Yeah, so I don't get the extra zeros.
Okay.
And that's how I was able to define the conditional format and see it even in like blank cells, which are not blank anymore, but they look blank to the user. Yeah, so that's something that you can get done. And now you see, now it's much more interesting, this matrix, because now I can see that in this time range, the orders that were in this situation, so confirmed orders which are not present, went up. Yeah. So now we have 200. But here, if I click in start, I see that on the start one, so in the snapshot of the 1st of December, I didn't have anything. And indeed, by the end, now I have 200. So this is telling me, okay, there was a change here, and you have more now. So you see where your possible bottlenecks may be. Yeah. And also interesting here, you can see in which states, in which cells you had more cancellations than advances. Yeah.
Yep.
So I can go and say, oh, what happened here? So even though I don't have anything now, I see that, oh, indeed, there was, okay, so the balance is, so there is nothing because 120 went in and went out. When they went out, they were a cancellation.
Okay.
Yeah, so the cool thing is that I can even now, even though I have nothing here, you see I have no order ID, of course, because I'm filtering by a cell which has no orders. But when I filter here on the outs, I control click, I can see the order.
Oh my gosh, this is a master class in creating analytics around inventory management.
Indeed, but you didn't see it all yet because now.
But wait, there's more? Is that what I'm
there's
hearing?
more. Yeah, you can build through and go to the detail, and you can see the full story of that order.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
The details of whatever happened. So here you can see actually that there was like a value change, and I don't know, some nodes, and you see, and for each snapshot what happened. This is not related to field parameters, but I wanted to brag about it. So there you go.
As well you should, sir. As well you should. That's awesome.
You can go and check out in the blog is more detail on how you can get this. It's a pretty big DAX nightmare, but the final solution is not that bad. So it really took me a long way to get this working. So,
okay.
Anyway,
so Ross, hang on 1 second. Ross and Leonard, we're working on a project right now where I need us to go back through this and see how we integrate this into our solution. So this is perfect timing, Bernat. This is amazing. This is awesome.
Okay, there is no guarantee that this will work with a huge amount of data, but I mean, at least sometimes, I mean, you don't have a better alternative. So even if you have to wait, this is what you need.
Yeah.
So who knows? Anyway, so let's move on to the other more wild use case. This is the final picture. Then we'll see how we can build something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, look at this. I have selected 2018. And for time intelligence, I want to see the current year and previous year for sales amount. Yeah.
Okay.
But look at the headers. The headers are telling me exactly who is who. So I'm checking, and it's 2018 versus 2017, which is exactly what I need. If I select the 2019, boom, even the headers changed. How is that even possible? Yeah.
It's impossible. Also, this cannot be done.
It's totally impossible. Yeah.
It's possible. What?
Look at this sales amount 2019 versus 2018. Because some people you say, yeah, why? Like, why? What? Like, who are you talking about? Like, yeah. So, and you get everything working with the right formats, and you can of course change the measure and get anything you want.
What is this voodoo that you do so well? This is incredible. How? Okay.
I know. Okay, to getting this working, you cannot do it manually.
I didn't think I could do it. Yeah,
it's total nightmare.
Yeah.
You want to have a look at let's have a look at this field parameter. Boom. This is the field parameter, okay?
Oh my.
320 or so. But the good news is that there is a tool called Tabular Editor that allows some scripting on top of that, and that will make our life easier.
Well.
So, let's see how this works.
Yes, let's see how this works. Oh, hang on. One question before we go on. Is this file available on your GitHub or
yes,
or your blog, or where can someone go?
Yes, not only my GitHub, but I'm forking out the Power BI tips, the Power BI tips repository. I'm not sure if this one went through or not. You can check my fork, or you can check the original one. Let me wait a minute. I can just show it to you if I can manage to move this over here. Okay, this is the Tabular Editor scripts. You see this, I'm forking this one, and maybe I didn't send that to pull request yet, but here in the one advanced, and here is a dynamic header field parameter. We'll see those scripts now in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, because there are several layers of scripts that you can go through.
Okay, all right, all right.
Here I want to start, this is a test one, but I didn't do anything yet, so we can use this one. Yeah, this is a totally innocent Contoso model. Nothing fancy, nothing weird. I just have already some measures defined, the very classical measures of all the examples of SQL.
This is the innocent Consoto model versus the dirty AdventureWorks model.
Well, now we'll see where we go, yeah? Anyway, so what I'll do now is I'll open the very innocent Tabular Editor 2.
Uh-huh.
So, okay, since I'll create some calculated tables, this is enabled, but we're not gonna go into the dark side or anything. Here, first thing, we're gonna load the time intelligence calculation group, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So here we can do this. If I open, this is also in the same folder, the time intelligence calculation group creation one. Yeah, this is how I made a debut. This script made me a little famous in my part of the world. So here, if where is it? I think I can copy it this way. No, it's the way to
Kevin,
copy.
are you able to
there is
find
like
this?
Yeah, anyway,
sorry.
I can go to the raw. Yeah. Anyway, you can copy this, and then you can go here, and then you can paste it, and then you can store it as a macro. And then it's yours forever. I already did that step. So What I'm going to do now is just select the measures that I want them to be affected by the time intelligence.
Hey, hang on. You're going pretty
Yes.
quick in here. Can
Sorry.
we just quick cover the macro thing as well? Explain how you can use that. Yeah.
Yeah. So here, you just paste the script, as you see. It's like copy paste. Then you save as macro. Then by default, it may already guess what you need to, in which contextual menu you should see that. In this case, you need to act on certain measures. So you just select the measure. So whenever you have one or more measures selected and you right click on them, this macro will show up. So here I can time intel 2, for instance. And if I save it, and then this will show forever more here. So even if I don't have that and I close and open again, now I can always go and execute this code. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah. And the cool thing is that I can even execute this one. This one will, now it will ask you certain things. So what's the name of the calculation group, the column of the calculation group. Then in order to manage the list of measures affected by the calculation group, it will create a small calculated table just with the names of the measures. So that if at some point you want a new measure to be affected by the calculation group, then you just need to modify that calculated table and add the extra name there. And then boom, all the calculation items will work on that measure.
Wow.
Any other measure that you have
will
be not affected by it. So it's not going to break your visuals because you're doing like, a text string minus a text string or something like that. No. This is not going to happen. So only those measures that you say that should be affected will be. Okay, this is the column of the table. You can change anything. And then it starts asking questions about your model. So where's your fact table? It's the sales table. And then it's like, okay, and what's the main date column of your fact table? So here I see the columns of the sales table I just selected, and I'm looking for the order date, for instance. So this will just be used in the expressions so that you're not shown like previous year values in the future, for instance. So it takes care of these little things. Now, what's your date table? Here it already pre-selects the one that looks like it's right. If it's indeed, then you just click OK. The date column is also pre-selected for you, but you can change it. And then the year column is also added here to create the dynamic labels that we'll see in a minute. Okay. So here you see that we already have a beautiful calculation group. This is a lot of code, yeah, and it has everything nicely built in, even for the format and everything. So if you go to the percent, it already takes care of all these things, okay? But of course, we need to save this first to the model. We go back. Always when we create a calculation group, we have to do a model recalc. And now we can go to the next step, which is, well, first, let me show you this. You see the calculation group. Let me show you something. So here, for instance, we have these measures. This is a label as value measure. Okay, here, wait, I'll put first these are all the calculations. Yeah, and here label as value measure. But of course, we need to add some filter on the date. So let me show, we're gonna filter by year, basic filtering. So if I put here like 2019, you see that current year is 2019, but previous year already says 2018, yeah? And so on. And also, yeah, so if I selected, I don't know, there's some date, I don't know. So we see here the moving annual total and so on will also add up to that date, okay? Anyway, so this is, all this code is also inside the calculation group. In this case, the label as value measure, you see it contains absolutely nothing. Oh, that's even surprising, nothing. I imagine, I don't know, I thought they had like blank or something. But apparently it even worked with that, so whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know, you can see this. These are like dynamic labels, okay?
Yeah.
And these are the ones that we're going to use for the headers. Yeah, but of course, this is a measure, like how you put a measure inside a header. No easy thing. But for that, we'll use another script, which is, wait a minute, we go back to the one-click macros, and it's this dynamic measure, dynamic header field parameters. Yeah. Okay.
I feel like your one-click macro should have a theme song, like one-click macros, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I picked up from the time intelligent one was shown on Gynacube, and Patrick did. It was like one click. He was like, "Yeah, you can create one click." I thought, I'm gonna use that one. I like it. Even though at that point it wasn't yet a one-click macro, but now it is. I mean, one click to get the macro started, and then you can do the configuration on runtime. So, but at least you have an option of just saying, okay, and get something done. Anyway, so now I go back here and I paste the new code, and I could do the same thing. Yeah. So I can record. Oh, sorry. No. I pasted it in the wrong place. Always remember to select the C# script tab. Yeah. Okay, so you can save this one. And this again, you need to select certain measures and then execute it. This one is the dynamic headers by measure. I put that name when I save the macro. You can put whatever name you like. Yeah? You'll see that we need to run this twice, and I'll explain you in a minute why. So here says generate field parameter. Yes. And look at this. Save changes to the model, recalculate the model, and launch the script again. Like, why should I do that? Well, let's do it. Here you see we have a new delete aux calc group. So this is a calculation group that when we go into production, we can already get rid of. This is for internal use, so to say. This calculation group will, you see, will return the format string of the calculated measure, which is something that we'll need now because, so now what we'll do is take the base measures and then apply the calculation group on top of that to create a new measure, all right?
Okay.
But since we're creating new measures, the format string is not dynamic anymore. So we need to calculate that format string in order to set up a static format string. And the only good way to do that I found was creating this calculation group, which has the highest priority. So it will transform that and they say, okay, all this expression will become this string, and then it's placed onto that measure. Okay. Hey, but anyway, what we need to do, yeah.
No, you keep going. This is good.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that, I mean, it's nice if you understand, but if you not, it also works. So yeah, you don't have to worry too much about it. So we're doing just as we are told by the script. So we save the changes, we recalculated the model, we go back to the tabular editor, and we execute again. The same script with the same measures. Yep.
And so Adam Fox pointed out you're selecting your same base measures to run this against. You're not selecting all of the measures that you had already just created, right?
No, well, so far I haven't created any measure.
I apologize. Yeah, yep.
We want to do that, but since we have to be able to calculate that static measure, format string, sorry, the script talks like, oh, I need that calculation group to do that. And if it's not there, I cannot go on. And then when it tells you like, yeah, save the bag and then do it again. Now the script will use this calculation group to be able to go on.
Gosh.
Yeah. And you need to refresh and do a recall before you can
you could tap into with one click. That's awesome.
Yeah, this script, I guess it's like 2 clicks. Huh? You guys have to run it twice, but other than that, it's okay. Dynamic headers by measure. This one, you'll see. So first, it says, yeah, you have to always say yes here. Now it asks you, where is the column that you want to use as a filter? Yeah, because this has, I mean, it's going to be dynamic but only to a filter that you set up. Yeah. Of course, we will have we will have 3 filters, right? In the last one. One is, of course, which measure do we want? You saw that we had 3 filters, right? in the, wait a minute here, let me show you quick. Yeah, we have 3 filters. One is the measure that we set. Then we have the time intelligence, which this comes from the calculation group. But now, and it's asking us for this third filter, yeah? Because this is dynamic, but not so much. It's gonna be dynamic only if you use certain filter, okay? So where is this third filter? So in my case, it's in the date table, and then I look for the year column, okay? And then it's gonna pick up all the values that this column contains. Action, oh, wait, what? Let me, what is going on? I just did that right before the presentation, so it's gonna work. Where is it? Test, okay. So what? Because we just saved the changes, right? Let me just do it again. We already have the calculation group here. And we're gonna run the macro, dynamic headers by measure, yes. Date, year. Okay, it's gone. Now, this is the name of the field parameter, yeah, time intelligence measure, okay, that's fine with me. Now, where is select the measure for dynamic name, cancel if none. But we do have one, which is the label as value measure. This is the one that we just saw. Okay. Okay. And now it takes a little while, but it should create. There it is. This is the gigantic calculation group that was created. Here it's quite interesting, the fact that we have like for each measure and value of the column that we set, we have first it created the measures. You see, I have a measure for each value of the filter column. Yes. And then all these measures were included here on this huge field parameter. But not only that, it also added a custom name to that, because this is not the same name. You see here it says current year 2017, but the name is just margin 2017. Yeah. And also you have, this is the regular order. Wait, this is here we have the regular order column, but then we have 2 extra columns. No, wait, 3 extra columns that are normally not part of a field parameter, but since it's a calculated table, you can use that, you can add them, and you can even use them for modeling. So the first one is the base measure name. The second one is the calculation. As you see, this is the first filter, the second filter, and the third one is the year filter. So of course we create a new measure for that, and the dynamic measure takes care of the naming of this first name. Here we are seeing these spaces, but actually these spaces are not visible once used in the model. Yeah. The reason that I'm adding these spaces is to make sure that all the names that are used are different, because otherwise I have like some conflicts, because the label for previous year of 1 year is the same one as the current year for another year, right?
Right.
And if you don't do that, then the field parameter doesn't get created.
Okay.
I don't know. So what I did is I added like a number of spaces in the following I think the order of the calculation item or something like this. So, and it has an increasing number of spaces. But
I mean, I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we can save back to the model, and we can go and check it out. Currency, where is it? Not here. Wait, did I save back to the correct model?
I don't think you hit save.
Test PBIX, okay. Oh, let me check again. Yeah, here it looks like it is. Okay, sometimes it gets weird. We can do if I do a refresh, what happens? I'm not sure if it's connected correctly to the database. Ah, shit. Oh, why not? Wait a minute.
Wait for it.
I'm gonna save this and open back. See if that works. Where is it? Wait a minute. There it is. Kratos test. External tools normally work fine, but sometimes you get these little quirks and things do not display right away. And in Microsoft Defense, creating calculated tables is not officially supported. It mostly works well, but it's not officially supported. But I haven't yet broken a model because of that, so don't get too scared. There are they. You see, now we have that beautiful calculation. No, sorry, field parameter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see that all those spaces are not visible here. Yeah, because are like these zero width spaces things. Actually, I was surprised that they are visible in Tabular Editor. So what I did, I mean, just not to get too long because we don't have much time, but from here, what I did is basically create a, well, for the measure filter, you can even model it. I mean, I guess you could model directly from the field parameter because this is, I mean, it's a table. It should not be that complex. I wanted to play it safe, so I create like these dimensions for it. One is just the affected measures, because since I'm using the same measures, it's like, why not? Here is the table I was mentioning earlier. If at some point you need another measure to work with a calculation item, you can just add it here. But the field parameter, of course, is not dynamic. So if you wanted to do it with more measures, you should delete it and create it with the same name, and hopefully everything will still work and you'll have the extra measure. Yeah. And then for the other ones,
and with how this is
did,
built with the scripts in Tabular Editor, that means you could build this into your data ops pipeline to automatically select base measures from your fact tables and auto-generate this every single time. So all you'd ever have to worry about is defining your base measures, publishing, and then it would always be there, right? God, I love data
see
ops.
how we take care of the dialog boxes. Yeah, there should be moved to some sort of parameter or something. Yeah. I'm not sure how that would work. Yeah, interesting. I'll give it a thought. Maybe at some point. I don't know. I'm not so used into these DevOps things yet. So once I get into it, maybe I'll find some solution.
So an Adam Fox that you just asked a question about, would you have to do this again for the new year? Not if you built it into data ops, into a deployment pipeline, like I was just articulating. That would solve that challenge of having to do that, right?
Then again, I mean, you see, I mean, this is a little bit experimental, so just use it if you really have to, and you have your boss needs to see a dynamic header for tomorrow or something, you can use this. Here, what I did for the modeling also, to have a column with calculation names, you cannot create a relationship between the calculation group and the field parameters because calculation groups don't allow relationships. But you can do something like this. So if you create a table, calculated table that is equal to the calculation group, it will only pick like the names. It will not pick all the extra DAX that the calculation group contains. So then it becomes just like a plain table with no magic behind. And then you can use that for modeling. You see here, I create the relationship with, where is it? So here, you see there's a calculation. There's an affected measures here, the time intelligence names. This I can create the relationship. I could not create it from the actual calculation group, but this one, which is equal to the top one, this is okay. Yeah, because it's no longer a calculation group. And then for the years, I also created a calculated table, which is this thing, just to play it safe. Yeah. Yeah. You see that this is it works as long as it's a happy path. Yeah. If you want to start doing more complex things with filters, then probably you'll run into some problems. Of course, you can, if you want to do something else, I don't know, I want to do a dynamic label for weeks and so on, and I want to show the week number, then probably the best approach would be to create a measure that checks what's the selected value for the calculation group or even the time intelligence names table, and check what's the selected week on the calendar, and then just boom, and then returns the a label, for instance. Yeah, but you see that you have to be very aware of how this is going to be used later. It's not like you can, yeah, here you have a dynamic label thing. No, this is very conditional on how you're going to build the visuals later.
Right. This would be
So
a
that's the
very
sort of thing.
purposeful, planned out.
Yes. Totally.
Yeah. Okay. That makes. Yeah, I like this because I think there are a number of situations where you might want to have something like this, but in some sort of limited capacity. You know, it's not drag drop everything on there. I think this is good.
Yeah, but of course, this is. I mean, if you're showing this visual, this is much more easy to read than something that would be. I don't know. I'm not even sure how this would. That here would say like sales amount, and then here you would say 2019, and here year over year.
Well,
so
especially if you have a large audience, I think this might be exorbitantly useful because what you've outlined, you know, you're just talking about filtering on tables that you're putting into memory. Those tables are exorbitantly small, even if you had lots of variations there. You're talking maybe
just
hundreds
for years
or thousands of records. You're not talking millions.
Exactly.
And so this type of label makes data more accessible to people who aren't data wonks. So I like this a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, just with the current year, previous year, year over year, with these four, you cover like 80% of the time intelligence that is normally used around.
Yeah.
So, and you can just forget about all these weird ones. And then you can even like delete them before you start, and then the field parameter will be smaller, and I don't know, it's going to be easier. You can just play around, and if you like it enough, you use it. Otherwise, just keep going. It's okay.
Well, this is
won't get
fantastic,
offended or anything.
Bernat. I'm a huge fan. But we're nearing the end of time, so we're going to wrap up.
Yeah. Sure.
Just for those of you who are tuning in, we're doing these lunch and learns every single week. Same bat time, same bat channel, noon Wednesdays. We're going to be working with a whole bunch of great people. Next week, I got Power BI guy, Ben Ferry. He's going to be live on the show, just like Bernat was. And we're going to be talking about custom visuals, creating them, managing them inside your organization. Really excited for that. Bernat, if you want to stop sharing your screen, we'll go back to our cameras here.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let me stop this.
So, Bernat, to you, I say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us, and for all of that code that you put into your GitHub. That is so amazing. Thank you for taking the time to do that. What do you have next? What do you have going on?
Oh, now I'm into writing scripts in Visual Studio. That's another passion of mine. And then I'm trying to find, I want to build like an application that will make it easy to copy the code plus the custom class together and paste it into Tabular Editor. Because now it's a pain. You have to go first, then you go to the second. But today I was investigating. It's like, it's not that different from Visual Basic, which is where I go very fast because I already know how it works. And if I can get it working, I'm gonna share it with everyone, and hopefully people will use it.
Well, clearly, big brain stuff going on here. So thank you, Brad, for that. Hey, everyone, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys taking your lunch break, sitting down and talking data and Power BI and all things data. Very excited about that. So thank you guys. Really appreciate it. All right. Bernat, we're going to sign off now. You guys have a great day. Peace.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah,
bye.
Baker Tilly Digital combines strategic industry insight and advanced technical expertise to uncover and solve your digital transformation challenges. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at bakertilly.com/digital.